Welcome to the Technician Podcast. My name's Travis Cochran, and I am the Technician. With the help of my guest, we will provide tools, tips, and tactics for you to rewire mind, body, and soul to cultivate a life you love. Enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
the Technician. 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 And they call him the Technician.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Technician Podcast. I've got my boy Brad Wright on today, and we've been meaning to do this one for a while, but it's worked out perfectly because we are down at the Gold Coast at the Spit, and it's fucking beautiful. How are you, bro?
Oh, absolutely incredible. What an afternoon that we've got here for us. I look at this and I go, this couldn't be more perfect, because what we're going to speak into with, the intentions of helping other fathers, young fathers especially, you only being 24 and only being a dad for a year now or so? 10 months.
10 months, man. How's it been?
Yeah, one of the craziest and most life-changing things that I've ever had happen in my life.
I can only imagine. I'd love to, for anyone listening, the intention today was to really share very openly and vulnerably, because a lot of men don't, especially young men, bro. Like anyone from 17 to 25, you don't hear boop from them. But I know you're a very open dude. You've done your work. You've gone into your shadows. You've really gone to the depths of who you are, right? And I'm sure you've brought up some shit during that time. My first question for you would be, how have you been lately? What's been happening for you?
Yeah, so I feel like this year, coming into 2024, there was a lot of stuff happening within my business around school programs and stuff. There was a lot of restructuring in that business, preparing presentations and stuff. And I feel like this year, coming into it, I didn't expect quite how crazy it was going to be in terms of business and the possibilities that are in this year. So yeah, I didn't really expect it, but lately, I'd say over this last month has just been absolute chaos with stepping back into an industry where I'm working full time, balancing business, family, time for myself, and really being able to give the right amount of time to everything in life so that I'm getting the results that I want to.
I love that. And how have you found that ability to distribute your time between family, spending time with your bub, and doing the work? Was that a real struggle in the beginning?
Yes. So I'd say if we went back to the beginning, because it's such a life-changing thing, you don't expect it, especially when you're becoming a dad, people will tell you a million times, oh, you just can't imagine it. And then you sort of brush it off and you're like, oh yeah, okay, okay, whatever. And then you actually experience it for yourself. And yeah, to say the least, it's absolutely life-changing, because you've got to restructure your whole life, how you do things and how you distribute time to everything in life. So I'd say the biggest challenge for me at the start was feeling like I was giving enough time to certain things. And there was definitely that guilty feeling of not giving enough time to my son and not giving enough time to my business and my relationship and just everything in life. So there was definitely that feeling of being guilty that you weren't giving enough to everything, when people don't understand quite the level of intensity that it takes from you in that early period, especially becoming a father.
At that age too, bro. So you would have been, 23 then?
Yes.
23 years old, still figuring your shit out. Young part, you're both, how old am I?
So she's 21, she's just turned 22.
Right, so even she's dealing with her own stuff, I'm assuming, that you guys are navigating together. And then there's a fresh new life that's birthed into this world, which you now have to support, right?
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit, I want you to close down your eyes actually, let's go through this. Now, what's your baby's name?
Xavier.
That's right, little Xavier. I want you to go back to that moment that Xavier came into your arms for the first time, bro. What was the feeling that you had as a 23-year-old young man? What was that feeling? Do you remember that?
Yeah, and it's something that people explain to you all the time before you have children, and then you can never experience it until you feel it for the first time. And it's the feeling of looking into someone's eyes and knowing that they are like a sub-creation of yourself. And I remember I never had that deep, intimate connection before he was born. And then that first moment in the hospital, there was like that instant connection once he was born. And he started crying as babies do when they're born. And that was the first time that I actually felt, I cried because I felt that intimate connection with him.
Wow. So do you feel like it opened something up in you then? It changed you?
Yeah, it changed my whole personality and who I was from that moment forward.
Instantly, right? And I get told this a lot. I've got a lot of mates that have kids, many kids. Like I'm 34, so... And look, my partner and I, we're still debating, do we want kids or whether or not. Like, it's kind of I think it's a interesting space when you start getting into your 30s and you have people going, so when are you guys having kids? What's going on? And I see and I hear these moments and I go, yeah, I'd love to experience that. And then there's another part of me that's like, well, do I? You know, I'm kind of at the point now where I'm at a space of, hey, if it happens, cool. If not, cool. And I do live my life a little bit balanced, I suppose. Whether it happens or not, I'm kind of happy either way. So hearing those moments, though, you start to lean me towards the other end of the scale. It's like, fuck, I want that.
Yeah.
So it's cool to think that in the last 12 months or 10 months or so, your life has clearly changed, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the things you've struggled with?
Oh, there's been a lot of things. So, especially because having a child at such a young age changes everything. Like, life's never going to be the same again. So, I'd say especially within our relationship, that has been pulled to the point of being stretched so far that it was about to break. And it's been so good that we're like that together now. And like, that's gone from both ends of the spectrum. I would say, especially within my business, there's been points where I definitely haven't given enough to it, and I feel the results of that were just in comparison to what I was giving to it. I definitely feel like now that he's a little bit older and he's sleeping through the night and stuff, that's the biggest thing, is sleep.
Yeah, I bet.
And it's something that people don't talk about very often, because the sleep pattern at the start is just something else. That's something completely different and something you never thought you would be able to do.
Getting like 2 hours sleep here and there.
Yeah, and it's the broken sleep. Like, you get to sleep and then he cries and you wake up. And it's even if he, like, at the start he was feeding every 3 hours through the night. So that was a massive thing that I had to adjust my whole life to, because it was like, you're running your normal day of work, business, spending time with family, and you're running that on half the amount of sleep that you usually would. So that at the start, I guess that took a toll on a lot of things. And
did your health suffer?
Yes, definitely. And because at the start I'd stepped back into a job where I was earning less and I was having more time for myself, but I'd taken a step back and I just said, this is just for the now. I just want to have the time. And what I noticed is, while you've got to have the time in your life, you've also got to be in a position where you're not struggling every single week.
Scraping by. Yeah.
Correct. And that's something that definitely took a toll, stepping back. So now that he's a bit older and he's actually sleeping well, I'm getting the time when I need it to focus on myself, focus on my business. And I'm also, there's so many prospects for this year within business and in the industry, because I'm a panel beater by trade, and I did that when I was very young. I stepped out of that industry because I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yep.
And stepping back in, I didn't quite realize how much money they're actually offering you there. And even though it's only a transition piece for me, it's not something I want to do for the rest of my life. It's definitely something that will sustain me for now while I do try and build these businesses and get to the point where it's self-sufficient.
I love that. So touching on a few things during that, because there's a lot in that, whether it's the health, the finances and all the other stuff. When you were struggling with your health, how did you get it back on point? Because as we said, we want to really help any other young fathers or dads in general. What was it that you did to get yourself back on track with your health? Because I know you go to the gym quite consistently. You're always that guy that was like, morning photo, we're at Worlds, we're doing our thing.
Yeah.
How did you get back on track?
That's something that I find I had to be self-disciplined, and I'm a very self-disciplined guy. Like, I do see a lot of people doing things like 75 hard and stuff, and I've been asked previously, oh, why don't you do that? And at the same time, I don't feel like I need something like that, because I'm naturally, well, probably not naturally, it's been self-taught that through all the work that I've done to be very self-disciplined with things like your health and your fitness. So that's now something that I've had to, I guess, pull myself back into line and say, like, this is actually something for yourself. Stop putting other things before this. So, like, there'll be a lot of people that say, I don't have time in my day to go to the gym. And to me, I just see that as an excuse, because there's always time in the day. So a lot of people say, oh, well, I need 8 hours sleep. And there's been so many studies that men don't need 8 hours sleep every single night. And I would say if you work, say, like I work 10 hours a day, I focus on my business and I still go to the gym. So
And you have a baby.
Correct. It's like wake up earlier and make it happen. Like, I'll get up at, say, 4 in the morning and get to the gym, get it done, then get into my day. And I don't need to do that full 5 days of the working week. I'll go both days on the weekends. Like, it's just about prioritizing that, because it can have such an impact on your mental health and your relationship and the time that you're spending. It's just, it's so important, and people underestimate it and they put it to the side. They put it on the back burner and they say, oh, I don't have time. Like, I'm focusing on other things. And then they'll spend 2 hours scrolling through their phone. So that's one thing that's like, what are you actually substituting for your health, and what's it going to take to pull you back into line and realize how important it actually is? And for myself, especially in the early days, like in the very early days, I wasn't on social media very much, but I was still making it happen in the gym. Like, we were running on, there was a point where I think in 3 days we got like 4 hours sleep, and we're sitting there just laughing to ourselves. And even in times like that, I was still prioritizing whether I had a good workout or not. It was just getting to the gym, moving my body, and just making that a priority. So yeah, it definitely comes down to how you prioritize your life and what's actually important to your future.
I love that. And I think the biggest thing for people that are listening right now is that I wonder, your priority on health, do you feel that has come from your accident and what happened to you when you were a bit younger?
Yeah, so I guess that gave me a whole other perspective on what life really is. There was definitely a time after that where I just didn't care, and I didn't care if I was alive or not. And now that I've come through that and I'm on the other side, I get to look back and realize quite how important life is and how quickly it can be taken away from you, because it's not often that a lot of people get that perspective on how important your life is. And I've got the opportunity to realize how quickly it can be taken away from you, and that you should value every single moment that you're on earth. So it's often I get people say to me like how they're having a terrible day and that they just don't want to be here, and they're like, I just hate today. And it's like, well, why do you hate today? Some things might not have gone your way that day, but there's no reason why you should, in essence, hate a day of life. Every day that you wake up is an absolutely great day.
I love that. I think the big thing for people to listen to is any of Brad's other podcasts where he goes a bit deeper on the story. And we said before this, he's probably gotten pretty sick of telling the story, but I'm sure, can they literally Google Brad Wright car crash and it'll come up on Google and everything?
Probably not. Look, if you do actually want to find out more about it, shoot me a message. I'll link at the end my socials, but send me a message and I'm more than happy to send through, like I did a podcast recently where it was actually targeted around mental health. So we did go very deep into that.
Yep.
I'd love for you to have a look at that if you're actually wanting to find out more about what's happened in the past. And I guess right now I'm really focused on the future and what it is that I want to create and the people that I guess we want to impact from this.
Of course, man. And, you know, coming back to the dad life, the fresh dad life, so the health aspect, you clearly have health as a value number one.
Yeah.
You know, so that then, as you said, it's a catalytic moment that you're going to the gym. So for the rest of the day, you're probably going to feel pretty good about yourself. And that's felt. That's felt in career. That's felt with your partner because you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
For Bub because you're looking after yourself. And it's all modeled behavior eventually too. The next part would be, how did you guys navigate when you might have been low on funds and that sort of thing? Like, because I know the pressure and stress that can bring up for partners and anyone, especially that's got a new baby. Was it the fact that you now have this human to provide for that pushed you in those moments when you had fucking an hour sleep? You were like, nah, I'm not. I need to keep going for Xavier and for Emmy.
Yeah. So, I can't even explain the level in which things like strained, I guess, myself, our relationship, everything too, especially when it comes to money. So that's something that I love to be able to help people with, because so many people don't prioritize it because they're like, there is a balance that you need to have, and at the same time you've got to be able to provide for your family, yourself, so that you're not living in stress and you're not living in that fight or flight mode. So while I don't want to stay in the industry I step back into for the rest of my life, right now it serves me a purpose.
Yep.
And I can realize what purpose it serves. So you don't need to sell your happiness either. Like, there's always opportunities out there, and if you're in a job where you may be even earning good money but you're unhappy, it's the exact same thing. Like, just because you're earning good money, it doesn't mean you're happy. So you've got to find that balance where you can actually be happy in what you're doing, sustain a comfortable lifestyle, and not be in that fight or flight mode, because that can put so much strain on every single area of your life. And it's so often that people put that on the back burner, and they put the biggest thing, especially with parents, is they put themselves on the back burner and they don't prioritize themselves. So I would definitely say that's one of the most, like, drastic things you actually have to put as a priority in life, so that you can model what you want to model to your either young daughter or young son, because that's between the ages of 0 to 7, they're like a sponge, and they're just going to take in everything that you're showing them. So if you show them that you should be unhappy and that you should just go through life to support them, they're going to go through life thinking that they don't have to be happy.
I love that. I'm saying I've got a lot of love in me today. I keep saying that. One thing, knowing this, we want this to be as super valuable as we can for anyone listening. I would say the most common thing I see, bro, especially with young dads. I've even got, you know, my brothers are both young dads. Oh, Bundy's a bit older now. Did you have any issues with your beliefs and concepts around money, and did you have to shift that and how much you can earn, making sure you don't have any addictions that you're having to overcome and you're spending money left, right and centre with stupid shit? Was there any of that you had to overcome?
Not really, because prior to him being born, I actually stepped back from earning good money and stuff, and I started to minimalize my life. So I guess I taught myself how to live off
like the
just
bare
what
minimum.
and what I needed, not
Okay.
what I wanted. So I guess going through that period of life taught me a lot of things, and it was also not a period of life where I was, I guess, requiring much external happiness. There was also times where I didn't prioritize my internal happiness, but that's a whole nother story. And yeah, I guess the whole money thing around becoming a young father, and especially it's not just the fathers, it's also the mothers. It can be a real struggle for a lot of people. So that's why, it is okay to go through that period, and it's not okay to feel stuck in that period and just stay there. There's got to be a point in life where you get sick of taking shit and you've just got to make a change.
That's one point I'd love to touch on with, obviously what I would do with the Heart-Led Warriors and Danos and all that. Why do you think it is? Now, for me, I haven't experienced it yet, but I've seen it a lot where you've been through mental health battles, you've been through finance, all the things. And it blows my mind to think that because I do what I do, right? I've gone to the depths of my soul with a lot of different things. We've seen this together.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind that people don't want to get better for themselves, but let alone a little baby that they could project all their shit over, right?
Yeah.
Did that even step your self-development up, wanting to sort out your shit? Because I'm sure you went through your own stuff as a kid that you've had to overcome. What's the importance there for anyone that's listening that is still dealing with stuff that they have never worked through, and how that might play out for them and their child that's just come into this planet?
Yeah, so, and this is something that comes up very often because parents often don't prioritize themselves. And the one saying that I like to tell to people is that you can't fill from an empty cup. So in order to give everything to your child, how can you do that when you don't care for yourself and when you don't prioritize yourself? And it's quite often that people, especially as young parents, they've never done the work. And I guess I'm lucky that I stepped into this space before I became a father, because I'd already done like a substantial amount of work. So I was very lucky in that aspect, and I guess I create my own luck. So people have to prioritize themselves and stop just saying, oh, everything I do is for my son or daughter, because everything I do is for myself, and that overflows into everyone's lives around me. So if I'm filling up my own cup to the point where it just overflows, it's a natural thing to fill everyone else's cup. And as you said, modeling to that young person is so important, and so many people don't realize how much children take on your behavior.
Oh, bro, I talked about this the other day with mother wounds, especially, and father wounds, is that it doesn't matter how much we're going to... The mum and dad can be there going, you're amazing, you're the man, you're the woman, you're killing it. But behind closed doors, they talk like shit about themselves. I'm fat, I'm useless, I'll never be good enough, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
What do you think the kids are going to pick up on unconsciously? The external voices become the internal voices, right?
Yeah.
Now, and we've both been through this. We've both done a lot of work, shadow work. We worked with Lockie, who's called us on a lot of shit, right? And then vice versa. What are some of the things you overcame yourself that were probably the hardest to overcome, but how much they've changed for you in your life, like really benefited you?
Oh, and it's funny because you just said that, and unconsciously something first just came to my mind.
Ooh.
So I think for myself, coming out of having my accident and going through all that, I had a lot of injuries and stuff that I had to learn to love about myself, because there was a period of my life where I hated myself and I thought I wasn't worth anything and that I was ugly, and it was because I was different to what I was prior. So I think for myself, it was all about creating that self-love, and now it's like I 100% have full self-love. I believe I am the most powerful, strongest person that I can possibly be, and I think for myself that was the biggest thing to overcome. And it's often that people won't admit it because they're scared of what they would have to go into to get through that.
Yeah.
So yeah, for myself, I think that was probably the darkest thing I had to go into and actually face myself. And yeah, I did that countless times, going through like journeys of breath work and all sorts of shadow work. They're the sort of things that you dive into and you actually face yourself at the most raw and unconscious level. And that's something that it can't be experienced in life in any other way.
Yeah, thank you for saying it that way. I really want people to hear that, because as much as I'm not a father right now, I am also a role model for many, many, many men, women, kids, with what I do. And, you know, even, dude, I had this moment, I think it was like a month ago. One of my clients, her sons, he found a shirt like what I'm wearing right now, the Miami Dolphins shirt, bought that, and he had his glasses on, because I did a photo shoot with Sammy Rothava, and I posted this photo of me holding the basketball out like this. She sends me through a photo of him doing the exact same thing, saying, I want to be like Trav when I grow up. that was the coolest thing, bro. I'm
Yeah.
a fucking podcaster.
Yeah.
Like, bro, don't go down this path. But it was just cool to think that he had seen what I was doing, maybe what I've done for his mum, right? So she's now modeling different behavior. And she goes, man, mum's cool. She's calm, she's collected, she's loving, and she's got so much energy, and she's lost weight, and all these incredible things from an 8-week program. You know, and people, I think a lot of people look at that and go, oh, but yeah, they're different. It's like, no, none of us are different. We just decided.
I was going to say the only reason they're different is because they made the decision and they committed to it.
Made a decision. People don't want it to be that easy, bro.
Nah.
There's literal proof, right? Like, I'll post, any coaches will post testimonials, could post hundreds of them. Hey, we've got this. Hey, I've also got financing. It'll make it about $100 a month. So, but no, that is way too much. I'd rather spend that on a $150,000 car that the repayments I can't afford, because that will make me feel better for now, right? Whereas the other thing could potentially make them feel better for the rest of their life. What is it that made you go, I need to do, I'm going deeper into this work, right? What was it that you're like, oh shit, okay, I need to keep going and go even further? Because what was it like, what was making you drive towards all these shadows and unconscious beliefs and that?
Yeah. So for me, the thing that I guess the turning point, I'd done a little bit of work and I'd experienced the feeling of doing it, but I hadn't gone deep. And then I went through a relationship breakdown where I got left with like a $3,500 bill for the unit we're in because they left damages and stuff and didn't pay rent. And I was at the point where I'd had this bill, I was living off like $50 to $100 a week, and I was just like, I was down and out. It felt like, you know, the saying, hey, you keep getting punched in the face. That's what it felt like. And I was down and I was in the gutters.
You just keep getting up too.
I was like, something's got to happen here. I was like, I've got to make a change. And it was funny because I won't name businesses, but a good friend said like they want to use my ice bath business in an NLP training. And he's like, come meet the girl, like have a chat. I was like, oh, awesome. That'd be so cool. So I went in, and I guess before you've done NLP, when you talk to someone that can use their language on that level, it was very intimidating. And I knew I wanted to do NLP, but I just couldn't afford it. So that gave me the opportunity to, I guess, use that business to pay my deposit and then just pay it off on a payment plan. And I was like, awesome. I was
Perfect.
like, this is it.
Yep.
And that was where things really changed, was when I made that investment that I was like, I cannot afford this right now, but it's what I need. And I know for my future that I'm going to look back and thank my younger self for taking that leap of faith. And it was that massive leap of faith that you have to take in order to get those results that you want. So yeah, I'd say for myself, investing in an NLP course was the biggest shift. Like, as a whole, NLP is it helps coaches get into business. And I initially went into my coaching business very hard. And I think even though now I still work with people, but I don't chase working with people. Like, I work with people that suit me. So it's like, I don't use it for, I guess, the business side of it, but the knowledge that I learnt from something like that.
From learning about yourself more
Correct.
too.
Yeah. Was just exponential, and I can't explain quite what it did for me.
I have to agree, because I was in the same prac room as you, which was epic. And what I learned so much just from the conversations back and forward, man. From the outside in, I can see how NLP gets a lot of judgment, right? People go, oh, they all talk the same, they all use the same words, and it's like, well, we go to the same course, right? But it is helping with changing your language, because language is so important for our unconscious mind. For anyone listening, the more you say behind closed doors, as we were saying before, oh, I can't do it. I'm so useless. I'm so dumb, over and over and over again. The way your subconscious mind works, it takes that on and goes, okay, well, that's the truth. And you will believe it. And it's vice versa the other way, where you go, I'm incredible, I'm amazing. We talk about these fluffy, surface level shit where it's gratitude and I'm so grateful for this. And it works because eventually repetition rewires the mind to believe a certain thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but the beautiful thing with what's happened in NLP especially, and for myself, bro, what I experienced during was the breathwork piece. When I found out I was an ancient Aztec warrior and all these other things. But that holistic approach just to lifestyle in general, right, and the coaching we've done Can you talk a lot of people hear us talk about shadow work, right? Can you speak a little bit into what's been some of the most powerful things you've realized by doing that, and maybe roughly what it is for them to understand? Because I have explained it from my point of view, but I'd love to hear for you what it's done for you and what it was.
Yeah. So I think for me, especially with the shadow work piece, the key thing that's taught me is that every single behavior that you play out in life, it has a shadow behind it. So there's an unconscious reason why you're doing certain things and why...
Good things and bad things.
Correct. And it's like why certain things repetitively happen in your life. So it's all about stripping that back and actually finding out why, not just having something happen and pushing it to the side and moving on. It's about something happening and going, okay, what is the actual reason why this happened? And it's about going into that. So for me, I guess shadow work it's a massive thing for me because it's taught me that every single thing that happens in life has a shadow. There's nothing that ever happens that you just go, oh, that's just, oh yeah, don't worry about it. That's just normal. Because nothing's just normal. What is the definition that you would put behind normal?
and I'm assuming you did a lot of your big breakthroughs with Lockie, with what he taught as well.
Yeah, so me and Lockie, like he's probably one of my best mates on the coast.
Shout out Lockie Mitchell.
Shout out. He's an awesome guy, and there's things that he's taught me that is just mind-blowing, and there's things that we bounce off each other, which is really good. Like, it's really good to surround yourself with people that you can learn and grow from every single day.
Be called out from.
Correct. And that's the thing. That's one of the biggest things that I love within friendships now is when you can be called out. And that's like the biggest thing for myself that I had to change was I call out my friends. If I see you doing behavior that's not in line with, I guess, your mission or your purpose in life, I'm going to call you out and say, hey, dude, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And that's something that not a lot of people have. And you've got to ask yourself, if the people that you're surrounding yourself with aren't calling you out when they see shitty behavior, what's the reason for that? And are they really looking out for you, or are they just along for the ride?
Yeah, that's big, man. I think for any young men or young fathers that are listening right now, would you say having a healthy brotherhood around you is one of the most important things? And how did you build that? Because I think I've said this a few times on a few podcasts, and there's probably a lot of young men that go, but it's so hard to find mates or good people and blah, blah, blah. How did you build the one that you've got currently?
Put myself in very uncomfortable situations. So a lot of people say, it's so hard to like put myself in these situations, and yeah, it is. And it's uncomfortable, but you have to put yourself in those uncomfortable positions in order to grow. Because if you're always comfortable, you're never going to grow.
It's like being in the gym, bro. If you're not adding more weight, you're not going to get bigger and stronger, right? It's something where they talk about the tension, the strategic stress on muscles and resistance. It's just what you're saying, bro. If you're never uncomfortable, then how the fuck can you expand?
Correct. And I think that's something that I've learned to love, is being uncomfortable. So now if someone comes to me and says, hey dude, do you want to come along and join us on this? And I'm sort of like, I'll evaluate, I guess, so say it's an event and they're people I've never met. I'll look at that and I'll evaluate it. I'll say, okay, is this going to help me a year down the track? And if the answer is yes, it's like, okay, well then go. No matter how comfortable it is. It's like, no one there. You're walking into a room where you could just sort of stand there and look around and be like, okay, but you've got to actually put yourself out there. So you walk into that room, walk up to someone you don't know and shake their hand and introduce yourself, because you never know what's going to happen in life from that tiny moment of introducing yourself to someone or putting yourself at a slight level of uncomfort. Because I could confidently say some of the biggest shifts in life have come from the uncomfortable moments that sometimes initially you don't want to be in.
Of course. And have you found some really cool, maybe older dads that are getting around that you've learned from some tips and stuff around being a father?
Yeah, so especially coming into being a dad, it is very hard to find mentors that have done, I guess, the level of work that we've done and that speak the same way. And it's because this generation is, I guess, stepping into it so much deeper.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely when I speak to someone who's obviously been a parent for, say, 10, 20 years, I take on what I need to take on to implement into my life, but it doesn't mean you need to parent the exact way that they parent. Sometimes you've got to make some changes and be your own parent, and you've also got to know when to take on advice from other people.
That's big, man, because I think ego can get in the way sometimes as well, right? Especially as men. Have you ever had those moments where, well, you had one in the room, right?
Yeah.
Where something had played out and you had all these men around you call you forward, I like to say, is that they saw that, hey, mate, maybe this isn't ideal. Let's call you forward. And how would you say that you gradually let your ego go and allowed, positive feedback to come through?
Yeah, so that experience that you speak about there in the room when we did NLP, and I actually got called out. So whether I agreed with it 100% or not, that was probably the biggest shift I'd had in terms of becoming a father.
Yeah.
Because that gave me an opportunity to, even though I didn't 100% agree with everything, it took me to the place where I could take 100% responsibility.
Oof, there you go.
And that's a massive piece, is it's stop pushing the blame onto other people and just take 100% responsibility for every situation in life. So this is something that I see often, and it's often that I see dads say, oh, but I'm not where I want to be in life because of my son or my daughter or because of these circumstances in life. And if you're going to play the victim for the rest of your life, then you're going to live a life exactly the way you're living it right now. You're never going to get to that place you want to go until you can take that 100% responsibility and own absolutely everything. Stop palming it off to other people.
Bro, and if anything, you're probably the best person to speak into this because you have a very valid excuse for why you could have stopped going to the gym and all the things. Your body was fucked up from what you went through, right?
Yeah.
So knowing that you could have used that for the rest of your life and made all these excuses, but you haven't, what was the defining factor for you to actually make the decision that you weren't going to make any more excuses? What really happened there?
I think I got over playing the victim and giving myself an excuse as to why I wasn't achieving what I wanted to achieve. I guess I went through a period where, like, I couldn't walk, I couldn't do a lot of things, and I definitely sat in that victim mindset, and that's where I stayed. It was comfortable because I could just blame things and say, well, I'm not where I want to be because this happened. But it was at the point where I guess there's different levels of responsibility I've taken in my life. Like, at that point, I took responsibility for, I'm sick of sitting in my shit and being a victim. I actually want to do something. But then it was like, what levels could I go to after that? Because at that point, I hadn't taken 100% responsibility for everything. I definitely said to myself, like, I don't want to be seen as that person that just gave up. But there was still aspects of my life where I was playing the victim. So it's all about, you don't build Rome in a day. So you've just got to continue to build on that, and you've just got to work on it every single day. And every time something happens, instead of playing the victim and saying, oh, well, this happened to me, like, oh, well, maybe today's just not my day. It's like, yes, every day is your fucking day, but you've got to create it into being your day.
Listen to that back. That's big. That's bars, man. And to think that that's coming from a 24-year-old that's already been through some pretty treacherous times, we'll call them. It just goes to show that if you actually truly choose to work on yourself and do the work, you get to this place. And we keep saying the work, but it's truth, man. Like, we see it all around us, right? With people like Lockie, myself, Dane. Dane was like the first time he's been in self-development was the NLP room.
Yeah.
And look at the shifts he's had. He's leading hundreds of men now, because he's always had that in him. I think that's one important piece to put in, bro, is that most people don't realize that they have everything they need within them to become the person they want to be, or the person they've always been, right? I think a lot of people say, oh, this happened to me, so I'm broken. This happened to me, so this is the excuse I'm going to use here. As you said before, if you take full responsibility, you can always be everything you've always wanted to be. But why is it you think that it scares people? Do you think they almost are afraid of what they could actually be if they just went, yep, this is it, I'm going to make a change?
I think there's a lot of things that hold people back. So I'd say one of the first things is it's a lot around the people's belief around money. So, and for myself, like, I definitely fought with this at the start. Like, I'd look at an investment and I'd see it as cost. I'm like, oh, but it costs, say, $500 for this 3-day event. And I'm like, oh, $500. Like, imagine what I could do with $500 in life. And it was, I guess, you're the only person at the start of that journey who can just commit to yourself. So it was going from that transition of seeing everything as a cost to seeing everything as an investment. So if you put $500 into working on yourself, it's an investment in yourself, and the biggest investment you'll ever make in your life is into yourself. So I think that's definitely one of the biggest shifts you have to have. And secondly, I would say a lot of people try to deny it because unconsciously they're scared about what they're going to bring up. So it's like, oh, how deep will I have to go with this? Like what is there that's there? Because people know about their traumas. They just don't like to consciously admit it to themselves.
Because if they did that, they'd have to actually face the shit, right?
Correct.
Oh, that's big. And what you just said there, I just had something drop in, the investment into self. Let's expand on that, right? Every day you're investing into yourself.
Yeah.
If you start looking at your decisions and choices that you're making, you're actually at every single point making a decision on what your life's going to be. So literally every single moment, if you choose to invest into that McDonald's, you're choosing to invest into that. That might be a good investment on your behalf or a bad investment. It's still an investment into yourself. So I think if people start to really see, rather than investments as stocks or self-development and all this other shit, what if you looked at your day and you did an inventory on what are you investing into yourself daily? I think that'd make people really look at themselves and go, fuck, I'm making some shit investments into my health, myself, my kids, my family, everything, right? Because as you said, the choices you make around that are going to dictate how your life plays out. So if you're going to sit there and go for the next week, actually, let's put that challenge to everyone listening right now. For the next week, take out a journal and sit it at your bed. Before you go and lay down your head to go to sleep, eventually, if you're struggling with anxiety or whatever, you can also fix that if you do some work. But maybe just sit there and go, what investments did I make today? Okay, I woke up and I actually didn't make breakfast. I bought McDonald's breakfast and a coffee. Okay, cool. Shit investment straight up. I've done it before. I do it when I'm a bit lazy, whatever. Then you go into work, you make another shit investment during work because you buy like some soft drinks and this sort of thing, and continues on all throughout the day. I think if people actually saw the actual investments they're making into self for a whole week, it'd make them look at it a little bit differently, right?
Yeah, and another thing that just dropped in for me around this investment piece is, what is it that your friends are investing into your life? Because
all the friends piece,
yeah, at an unconscious level, the people you surround yourself with are such a big part in people stepping into this journey, because they're like, oh, but what will people think, or they'll judge me, or my friends will say this, or my family will say this. And like for myself, that was a massive piece, because there's been friends that I've had to let go in my life. They're people that I still love and I still want them to do the best in life, but they weren't, I guess, on the same journey. So they're the people that you've got to know when to step away. And there's been times when I've had no friends and I've been lonely, but they were some of the best times, and they were some of the times where I had the most amount of growth. So that's a big piece for people, is the investment that your friends are making into your life. And this can be negative or it could be positive, because your friends might put you down and it's as a joke and you guys are just having banter, and at a certain level you're taking that on consciously, and then you're setting it as unconscious programming in your own mind. So yeah, you've really got to be careful of the investment you're making with the people that you surround yourself with, and are they supporting your dreams or are they taking away from your dreams?
That's big, man. And let's go one step deeper into your partner.
Yeah.
How important it is to have a partner that, I don't think they have to be on the journey, but at least supportive of it, right?
Yeah.
Has yours she done the work along with you to do, like, I obviously know the story, but
Yeah.
if you could share that with anyone listening, what is it like, for example, they want to do the work, but their husband or wife or partner or whatever, or family is like, no, what are you doing, you fucking weirdo, or whatever it might be.
Yeah. So I would say, like, she's definitely started to come on this journey with me, and even though she's not looking for the same outcome, I guess, in business and stuff as I am, so she's not going to the level I'm going, she's definitely started investing on that journey and discovering stuff about herself, and it's good for both because we can see when something's unconsciously playing out. Sometimes,
and the shadows as well.
correct,
Yeah.
and sometimes behaviour will play out, and I even have to pull her up on it and say, well, like, what's the actual unconscious thing behind why you're doing this?
Do you have an example to share with someone? Because I don't think a lot of people understand there's these things that play out in relationships where your partner is your biggest mirror. They're going to trigger the fuck out of you with a lot of different things if you're not used to it, right? So I'll give an example of mine first. When I first moved in with my now fiance, I actually couldn't stand how nice she was. How wild is that? So I couldn't stand, she gassed me up all the time. I'd come home and I wasn't used to, look, don't get me wrong, I've had some incredible partners in the past, they've always supported me, but not to the level that Christelle does. So I'll come home and go, baby, she'll ask me how my day is, and I never was really used to that, right? So I'll go, yeah, it was alright, tell me more. I did this, like I did some pretty cool shit, right? But I'm not used to sharing it with someone that actually goes, wow, celebrates it. She'll be like, oh my God, that's amazing, hell yeah. And it was genuine, but something in me was going, you don't fucking mean that. You don't mean that. Something in me was going, oh, she's so fake. Why does she? You know? So I'm having this, my beautiful partner who actually backs me because of this little inner boy that's used to people actually being envious towards him doing things, was sprouting out going, she doesn't mean it. What the fuck? I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. She's fake. Rah, rah. But what overcame it was I communicated that to her straight away.
Yeah.
I just said, hey, this is weird, but this is how I feel about this. She's like, oh, babe, no, I genuinely mean it. I love you. You know, so that's my example. What's something that's come up for you?
So I would say, because our relationship from day one has just been like chaos. It's been life-changing, and I wouldn't change it for the world, because everything that's happened, no matter how up and down it's gone, no matter how down it's gone, we've always had each other's backs, and no matter how high it's got, we're always together and we're always able to communicate. So that's the biggest key, I guess, for myself that I had to overcome in this relationship was communication. And I knew that it was a massive piece, and in previous relationships it wasn't something that I guess I could communicate from myself because I was worried about what would happen. So for me it was an unconscious belief that I needed to be quiet because it would cause shit if I spoke up and used my voice. So that for me, that was something that I had to learn, and this is something that I guess she had to learn as well, is that communication is a massive key in a relationship, because when you don't communicate and you don't know where each other are at, it's like you're just going to butt heads, because as you said, your partner's your biggest mirror, and like it's normal to experience every part of the relationship, but it's about how you come out of that and how you work together to get through things and get back to the place where you're living your best life together. So that for me, because in the past, I guess I had relationships where we would go through those downs and it would just keep going and it would spiral because there was no communication, we weren't working together. And then it would get to the point where it would just implode and there would be nothing. So for me, I guess that communication piece is massive, and knowing when to speak and when to just listen.
That's big, man. And that's good just advice for anyone that, honestly, at the core of it all and what I've been through with Christelle, it's been a very different experience because we're a lot older than you as well, and she's been through her stuff, I've been through my stuff, and I spent many months after my breakup before Christelle to sort my shit out before I ever brought someone else in. So luckily enough, in the last couple of years, we've probably had maybe a handful of arguments, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time it's just really cool. Now, that's, you can listen to that and go, well, both relationships can work.
Yeah.
There's a spectrum there, because I've watched some of my best mates who are now married to their partner and have known them since we were 15, 16, 17 years later. They've always fought. They've always done all these things, but they're the strongest, most beautiful couple I know with a lot of them. It's normal. And for people to think that relationships are meant to be easy, it's just not the case. It's normal to have these arguments, to go, like you said, to spiral down, spiral up, come together. I lived all through that. I had multiple relationships that did the exact same thing. And I've luckily enough to get to a point now where, you know, we do openly communicate. It's just, hey, this is coming up. Again, another example, when I first moved in, I'm very much on the spectrum, so I need my alone time, and I just need my space. So I'm a gamer, right? So I set up a sick like bear cave in our garage. I go and escape from my work and things and just shut down for an hour or two.
Yeah.
When I first started that, Christelle and our dog now, Louie, little sausage dog, will come in and sit right next to me, like on top of me, because their love language is like, we need you. We need to be next to you. For me, I'm like looking at her going, what the fuck are you doing in my space? And I didn't let that fester though. I just said, hey, baby, this is going to sound really bad, but this is kind of pissing me off right now that you're right next to me, and I just wanted to have some time to myself. And she took that and went, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Do you want me to just chill for a second? I said, yeah, is that cool? Cool. Done. Like,
Yeah.
That's the level that it's at now.
And it's like that communication piece that you could voice that to your other half and
not take it personally or anything.
correct
either.
and just say what you're thinking and say what you need so that you can get that, because if you don't say what you need, you don't get it.
Yeah, and say it in a way that it's not saying, you don't go, you're making me feel this way, because they're not making you feel anyway. You're actually dictating this situation by your internal stories. As Brad said before, your unconscious beliefs are going to play out in every single part of life. Something Riley May said last week, she said, we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. So every time something happens, no one's actually doing anything to us. We're doing it all to ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, so something plays out. Old mate, like there's been a few triggering moments while we're sitting here just doing the thing, like all the sounds and the people and the things. And because my nervous system's so regulated and I'm good, and same with you, we're chill, man. We can be here in this chaos right now, and it's all G. And I'm sure, like I had today, I'm not from here, so I was in the wrong lane, and if I didn't turn, I'd end up on the fucking highway. I did a sneaky little, like, sneaky in it. I know, probably shouldn't have. But this bus driver, man, was like giving me the finger, swearing out the window. And I thought, damn, man, in the past, that would have bothered me for weeks. I would have been thinking about that motherfucker, his face, everything, going, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Where in that moment, I instantly was like, yeah, nah, that's fair. I can see. But also, is he sweet? Why is he so angry? And I just got on with my day, right? So it's these moments where you see the work you've done and how it plays out in relationships, money, work, which, you know, segueing with work, what's your plans, bro, from here on out, as we've almost nearly done an hour already? Moving forward, what's the big goals, dreams? Because I love how ambitious you are as a person. You're very entrepreneurial. You're a good dude. You're all about networking and meeting good people. What are some things that you're planning on doing moving forward?
Yeah, so I guess right now, my coaching business, I let that run itself. I'm not advertising for it and chasing people, because I feel like, especially within that space, I want people that I want to work with, not people that I feel I have to work with. I've got that, and I've got my ice bath business, which sort of just turns over itself. Like, I love that business. It's so much fun.
What's it called again?
Inner Plunge.
So he does mobile ice bath, guys.
Yeah.
If you need him for events, hit him up.
And that was just something I started, got me into business. And I guess I don't do it for the money side of it. I just do it because, like, I love the business. It's so much fun. And then I guess, so in my future, currently I'm working on a business where we're creating programs in schools. At the moment, we've just created a program for rural schools where I've got 2 female facilitators and myself for the males, and we're going in and we're being able to cater to the whole school, because in these rural schools, it's a lot of lower socioeconomic students, and it's a smaller school. So the one we're working with at the moment, it's only comprised of 200 students. And we've created this whole new program where we're actually able to go into the schools and cater for all the students and give them that experience. And the schools themselves are really crying out for it. So that's something I do see heavily within my future. There's a few other business ideas I'm playing with at the moment that I won't go into because they're not, I guess, on the cards yet. I'm just playing with them at this stage, but
you're trying things, bro. That's the epic thing. Well, not trying, you're just doing them. You're taking action, and if anything fails, you learn, right? I failed like 15 different businesses before I got to what I'm doing.
And I don't think anything's a failure in life. Everything's a learning. So
100%, bro.
For me, it was about creating, because like I've done businesses that went nowhere, but they taught me things. Like I invested in a multi-level marketing company, and I never made a cent off it.
Yeah.
But the things that taught me was so good at that stage of my life. So it's like you've just got to keep investing in stuff, and especially if you're someone that wants to invest in businesses and that's the path you want to go down. It's all about just keep investing, and when you get knocked down, it's about dusting yourself off, getting up, putting your chest out and walking forward.
I love that, bro. Even the term I coined not too long ago was the fast action ignites learning. That's fail for me. Every time I took fast action, I ignited some serious learning because I was learning hard, man. I was falling face first with a lot of things, and I've always had some pretty good support here and there, but a lot of it I've done by myself. Especially with early days in Rebel Sport, I would work at, like you said, a 10-hour day, drive an hour each way, like morning and night, come home and work on my clothing brand when I was 27 with my best mate Joshy. And I'd work until 1 a.m. What's marketing? How do you get branding? How do you tell story? And the clothing brand actually did pretty well. It was growing, and then we just sort of were like, it's not for us anymore. And that's okay. So people will go, that's a failed brand. I was like, well, no, because I spent 4 years learning about marketing, sales, brand, story, meeting people, networking, how to get shit printed. I now have all those abilities and skills in my current business, which is doing really well because of that shit that I learned, right?
And something along the lines of what you just said, because you said you spent 4 years learning about sales and marketing, and it's like people would see that as, that business failed, but the things that you learned from that were exponential, and it's like you took that into every business that you went forward. And it's the same for myself, because I look back at my life and like I had businesses where I invested thousands of dollars into creating the business, and then it just never went anywhere because of either like couldn't get suppliers or whatever the reason was. And I look back now and I'm like, thank you for having that experience in life and it not going anywhere, because it taught me more from just having the experience of building that. And learning sales is like one of the biggest things that I've taken into life, because even within my job, like I've leveraged that to earn income on top of what I earn. And I think in 3 months I put through $16,000 in, we did like cash sales, and I got 10%.
Amazing.
So I got $16,000 I put through in 3 months was like $1,600 in my pocket.
On top of what you're already doing.
And it's just from what I learned in business. So it's like, when you step into business, people have this idea that you've just got to go full all in, and it's just got to work, and it's doing everything. And it's not. It's hard at the start, and people don't see the behind the scenes of creating businesses and building that. And it's like, I've only been in the business scene for about 2 or 3 years, and I'm still learning and growing every single day. And I'm putting every day when I wake up, I give 100% to the day. And sometimes you're tired, sometimes you don't want to do it, and that's the times when you're going to grow.
Agreed, yeah. And like you said, you're 2 or 3 years into it, bro. You're 24. Imagine you were 34. Like, you're going to be successful, bro. I can already see that. You've got the right mindset. You're clearly doing the best you can with the dad life, the partner life, all the things. You're doing the right things, right? But I think the core of it all, guys, that's listening, none of us have our shit together. I don't. I'm sure Brad can say he doesn't. I'm not going to speak for you, but we're not supposed to. How fucking boring would it be if we did? Like, we talk about the strategic stress to grow in the gym. Why can't we put that into our life? Why are we not saying that? Or this is one thing I said to my client today, actually, because I heard it somewhere. It was, so I'm a gamer. I don't know if you've ever gamed much, but let's talk it in this way, that everyone wants the game to be on easy mode, God mode, so that you can go around killing everyone. It's easy. You don't die. There's no chances of anything bad happening. How boring would that game be?
Yeah.
For me, bro, I know from the games I've played in my entire life, the best rewards come when you go against the biggest, baddest bosses, right?
Yeah.
The most risk. I could die doing this, but I know there's some cool shit on the other side. Every time I go towards risk, and just from hearing your story now, exact same thing. Look at all the cool shit you found, the treasures, the goals, the skills, the armor, the weapons, all the things that have popped up out of this dead body because you actually went towards it, took a risk, and you actually came out on top.
Yeah.
Right? So why on earth, guys, would you be so worried about what could go wrong when what could go right is so much cooler?
Yeah. And like you said there, like no one's got their shit together. No matter how much you invest in yourself, things are going to come up, and there's always going to be a shadow that presents itself.
Yeah.
So there's no end point where we finish. It's you're always growing and building, and no matter how much you've done, something else will pop up, and you go, that's still there, and you just keep working through it. So yeah, there's never like an end goal that you're looking for. You're just continually building yourself and becoming a better person, and you're never above anyone or below anyone. You're always on the same level. So that's a massive perspective shift that I guess you can learn. Like when I walked into that room and that woman got me into that NLP room at that time, I was like, wow, she is so much further ahead in life than me.
Pedestal.
And then it wasn't until I came to the realization that she's exactly the same as me where the growth started happening.
That's cool, man. Even just that was a moment for me too, actually, that I was always the same. I've never thought I'm better than anyone or anything, right? I've always had my hand out on the step above, ready to pull every one of my friends, family, anyone listening along with me, right? I'm always open. I have people in my DMs every single day saying, hey, Trav, like I had a mate call me, what was it, yesterday or the day before? He was ready to kill himself. And I could even just feel how much I've done this so many times now and even gone through it myself that I was able to hold that for him. And I helped him. You know, he's all good now. For now, he's gone through his shit. But I was just so calm in it thinking, wow, yeah, I wasn't judging him. I loved him, met him where he was. There was no panic. It was just this, bro, I see you. I get it. I totally get it. I've been there. I can understand why you're spiraling. I can understand why you're stressed out. I can understand why you have so much shame about the bad shit you've done in your life. But it doesn't matter. We've all done bad shit. I don't care who it is listening. I know you've done some bad shit up until this point. Now, it might not be perceived at different levels, right? But also, though, what's bad and what's good? I think the most common thing that we get told as we're growing up is that this emotion is bad. You're angry, you're whatever, that's bad. Happy, that's a good one. Why did all these different emotions get separated into two graphs?
That, as soon as you said that then, that was a massive thing for me, especially so my son's 10 months old, and recently, like, he walks in like a walker.
Yep.
And he scoots around the kitchen and stuff, and like he always comes up to me and he'll be like, roar, and I go back to him and I'm like, roar, and he loves that, and it's like, I love that he's able to sort of access that like warrior, and it's like he's only 10 months old, but it's like he's able to like feel it, like he feels that like, and it's like you can teach him when to do that and when not to do that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like him doing that. It's really good. Like I love that. Like I love that he's able to access that. And then my mum saw that and she goes, "Oh, like why are you always teaching him to yell and stuff?" And it's like, because that has in the past been labelled as you're not supposed to do that, and you're supposed to just always be quiet and
be a good boy, be quiet.
Correct. Yeah. And that was like, I even said like I want him to be able to access his emotions, and when he feels like he needs to be able to access that inner warrior and like use his voice, he can. So that's something that I will teach him coming into like being a toddler and stuff, is when to access those emotions and when not to use those emotions.
Bro, perfect. I'm so glad you brought this up. Let's just chat on this for real quick, because the more we got told as kids that was bad, whatever it might have been, as you just said, an emotion has for the right time, an emotion will mean something for the right thing. So anger, right? Let's say we're walking down the street. I heard this the other day and I fucking lost it. Say you're walking down the street and the person passing you decides to spit on your face. What are you going to do? Are you going to access anger and tell them to get fucked? Yes. Or no, sorry, it's bad to be angry, so you're going to go, oh, yes, sir, please, more, please spit on my face. Like it makes no sense that we've gone and justified to our kids growing up. I know I'm not a parent, but I've been a child. So I got told as a kid, no disrespect to mum and dad, I love them, they're incredible, they did the best they could.
Yeah.
We're all figuring it out at the same time.
Correct.
But for me, it was like, I was always the nice boy because there was a lot of things I was told that were bad. I couldn't express my anger. The only time I expressed my anger was on the footy field. So imagine I bottle myself up all year besides those 24 games of football. Men have way more rage in them than that. So every time you bottle up that rage and it leaks out in places it's not supposed to, and you don't have the football field to do it, imagine what happens when you get older. I don't have the football field anymore, but I know how to express my rage and my anger in the gym, boxing bag, passion into my business in healthy ways. Or if I have a really, I don't really have it anymore, but when I was doing this work, that healthy expression into a pillow. Or in the car, it's like, fuck, just let it out. And then it all just gets out of your body. So, because when you're growing up, guys, if it was told that, hey, stop crying. Oh, I wonder what that plays out when you get older, right? That one that suppresses all their emotions. The one that can't express emotions because they were told it was a bad thing. The one clear thing I want everyone to know. If you were told that your anger was a bad thing and to stop that, just know that anger is the Tupperware lid to the container of all the other emotions.
Yeah.
It suppresses every single fucking emotion. Right? You know this, bro. We know this.
How powerful is that?
The one emotion that we get told not to show, or how to show it in the right way, in the healthy way. And it suppresses every single other fucking emotion. Shame that men deal with. Shame turns into depression, which is it's like depression in itself is just a symptom. People don't realize that I'm depressed. I have depression. No, you have other shit you haven't dealt with, so you have the symptom called depressive state. Right? And people don't want to hear that either.
Yeah.
It's like, I've fucking been through depression. I've had this shit. I told people my anxiety, my depression, my suicidal thoughts, all these things. They were symptoms of the shit I never dealt with.
And that's something I guess we can go into a little bit is about that label of depression, anxiety, whatever it may be, because a lot of people don't want to label themselves, and it's something I struggled with for a long time, and I guess that's what led to me trying to commit suicide. Was I didn't want to be labelled as I have depression, so I fought it off. And there's a certain level where you can accept, okay, right, like in this moment I'm actually feeling depressed and maybe I do need to seek help for it. And it's not seen as being weak. It's actually, I would see someone as stronger for being able to recognise that. You don't need to sit there with the label and just sit in that and wear it as a badge of honour on your chest, like, I've got anxiety, so that's why I do things like this. Because a lot of people I see nowadays use anxiety like, oh, I can't do that because I have anxiety. And it's like, you don't need to wear it as a badge of honour. You've just got to recognise that it's there and go, okay, maybe I need to start working through this.
Fuck, I love that one. The one I love, bro, is the best one I love is these days, obviously, everyone's got ADHD, autism, all the things, right? I most likely do. Like, undiagnosed, I'm probably on the spectrum a lot. My missus tells me all the time. But I don't sit there and go, I can't do this because of this, this, and this. Like you just said, I never would go around and say, I've probably still got a little bit of anxiety because I suffered from it for my whole life with other things. I didn't know how to express myself. I didn't regulate my nervous system, all the things we know now, right? But I didn't go around, or I don't, go around going, because of my anxiety, I can't do this. As soon as you say those fucking words, I can't do this, sure, well, you never probably do it. It's like, as soon as they just say those magical words and they speak it, everyone wants an excuse, bro. Everyone wants an excuse for not living up to the potential that they perceive within themselves. How awful would that be? How awful would it be if you actually did the things that you love to do, but then you tore away that mind-blowing or mind-numbing thing of worrying what everyone is going to care about, whether you do or not? It's like no one actually gives a fuck, to be honest. Most people care about their own shit more than they care about whether you went for that 10K run yesterday. So stop blaming yourself so hard. Stop going so hard on yourself. And if you're listening, Stop being so fucking hard on yourself every day. Like we said before, no one's got their shit together. If they try to tell you they do, they don't. They're lying. But yeah. Anyway,
Wow.
we are now in this beautiful sunset here at the Spit, which I'll turn this around.
How incredible. Ooh.
How good is this? Thank you so much for coming on, bro. Is there anything you'd like to leave with the listener? Is there any great books or podcasts, or besides the Technician podcast, but besides all of that, what's been something that's really helped you on your journey so far?
Yeah, so there's a million books that I could recommend. I'm not going to say you need to read a specific book because something's different to everyone, but the one thing I would say is stop being so hard on yourself. Give yourself love for what you already have achieved in life, and always look into the future, not the past.
Nice, bro. And be as present as you can in those moments too, because speaking on anxiety just before, it's like anxiety is just that fear stuff. It's that fear around something that doesn't even exist yet, you know. But what Brad's saying is, like, have some goals, have some missions to go towards, because if I want to travel across this water right now and I don't have a destination with my boat, I'm not going to know exactly where I'm going. I'm just going to float around the fucking middle doing nothing. So if you don't have direction in life, maybe sit down and write it on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
What are some things I love doing?
And you don't even have to set yourself a 10-year goal. Start with a 1-year goal.
Or even
Work
6
up from
months,
there,
something, like something to move forward to.
Set yourself a goal a week from now to start.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's take it one day at a time. If it's because something I heard was I can't remember who said it. Ed Milet. Have you seen Ed Milet before?
No.
Bro, he's a gangster. He said he's a big entrepreneur, very beautiful man. He said one more, just one. He's all about one more, because I think his dad said when he was younger, his dad was an alcoholic and he stopped one day. And I remember he remembered his dad said he wasn't counting the days anymore. He's not, I'm going to be sober for 12 months. He's like, just one more day, son. I can promise you that I'll be sober for one more day. And that hit me, and that hit Ed. It was like, no more of this, like, I'm counting the days, like I'm 74 days sober and this and this. It's just like, just go one more day. Like, we already have enough pressure and all this expectations and shit, especially as men, heaped on us to say that we need to do more. Brad and I are not also saying that you don't have to be entrepreneurs, businessmen, all this other shit.
Yeah.
We want to, and that's okay. But if you want to work a normal job, 9 to 5, I fucking love people that do that get up in the morning at 3 in the morning and go home at fucking 7 at night. That is powerful. That's a warrior. Like, I have so much respect for people that do that. But how about you just focus on the next day? You might try to find a little bit more joy in your life, a little bit more fulfillment.
Yeah. And a lot of people get themselves caught up because they're not where they want to be right now. And you've got to stop looking at, I'm not where I want to be right now. It's like, look at, okay, where do I want to be? And what are the steps in order to get me there? Because a lot of people set themselves a destination, but they don't set themselves the steps in order to get there.
Yeah, that's
so
big.
it's not about saying, okay, in 10 years, I want to have this, this, and this. Go, okay, in 10 years, if I want to have this and this, what do I need to do tomorrow? And start small and grow big.
Oof. Perfect way to finish. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too.
Thank you for the listener. Please share this around. My whole philosophy with what I do is about rewiring the community and culture with their mind, body, and soul. The way we can do that is together. So if you learned something during this, it helped, please share it to a friend, family, on your socials, tag us. Brad, are you just Brad Wright on Instagram?
Yeah, Brad Wright 00.
Cool. And I am the technician. We also have Beauty and the Beast is now up on Instagram, and yeah, all the beautiful things, bro. But this has been epic. What a way to finish with this view. Holy shit. Even this, bro, being grateful for what we're doing right now. We're recording a podcast on the Gold Coast looking at the sunset.
Yeah, and I must say, I've been in a few podcasts in my life. I've never done one where we're sitting there looking at a sunset, having an epic conversation. So I would say this would, top the charts for the podcast.
Look at that. How good. Yeah, and I think for me, bro, to finish this day and to go into this weekend of knowing my life now is getting in this car, going to get some dinner, seeing another client, and then helping people all weekend. And that's my life. Bro, grateful as hell. So thank you so much. And let's do this thing.
Awesome,
Peace.
bro.
technician.